So I just want to start off by saying I'm a writer, not a speaker, so you have to forgive me for reading from this rare Sumerian parchment I bought from Hobby Lobby. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Frank Jastromski, or Vince Clortho if you happen to be from Bulgaria. Chris is the only person that's going to understand that. I've known Chris since freshman year of college. That means I've had roughly 2 years to amass dirt on him. I'm an admirer of J. Edgar Hoover, and I learned from the former head of the FBI the importance of keeping a black file on those closest to you, just in case you need to blackmail them at some point. I can assure you that Chris has the juiciest of all my friends' black files. I have an USB with hundreds of photos stored on it, but unfortunately the venue didn't have a projector readily available, so I won't be able to show you the photos of the infamous 2018 paint incident, which I'm surprised doesn't have its own Wikipedia page, or how Chris rescued Daphne from Scooby-Doo, or his epic dance-off with a homeless Jamaican man on Chippewa Street in Buffalo. Maybe I'll share the PowerPoint presentation another time. In addition to giving me the opportunity to have a front row seat to these unforgettable incidents, Chris has taught me a lot of things. He speaks 3 languages: English, Gaelic, and Southern Ohio. Grove City, Ohio has the best outlet mall in the country. Columbus is the capital of the United States. And Tupac lives. In all seriousness, Chris taught me the importance of time. And I'm not talking about how much he routinely robs me of it. I may or may not have referred to him as the time bandit on multiple occasions. I used to get so frustrated when we walked to lunch across John Carroll University's quad, and Chris stopped to chat with every single person. And I mean every single person. The few second or minute interactions slowly added up. And next thing you knew, you had 10 minutes to grab something to eat before your next class. I soon learned that if you wanted to eat lunch, you better ditch Chris. Typically, as I left the dining hall with a full stomach, I spotted him rushing in to grab a bite before hurrying off to class. I shook my head, rolled my eyes, and went on my merry way. Years later, I realized the folly of my impatience. Chris never seemed rushed during these brief interactions. He never acted if you were interrupting his lunch hour. Even if you stopped for only a few seconds to say hi or bye, he genuinely cared about what you had to say. In those moments, you felt like the most important person in the world. I'm sure everyone here has experienced it at some point. Time is our most precious commodity, and Chris selflessly shares it with others. Recently, I stumbled upon a quote in a book about life and death that resonated deeply with me, not to get too deep. Quote, "Looking back, what I regret most about the rush is missing so much of my own life. I don't mean missing it now. I mean missing it then, missing it while I was in the midst of it. I'm sorry I did not pay more attention to the world while I was racing through it, particularly to those who were close to me. I'm always sorry I was never the sort of boy who was fascinated by the natural world and busied himself in learning how it worked. I never studied the birds or watched butterflies or explored the changes in the frog spawn. On the hills, which I started walking as a very young boy, I didn't pay attention to what was actually around me. It was the movement that was important to me, as well as the dreams I was conjuring in my imagination as I strode on. This is the weakness of the romantic temperament. It spends too much emotional energy pursuing the elusive and fascinating other, rather than concentrating on the gift that is actually close at hand. I wish more of my attention had been spent on the here of my life, rather than the elsewhere I was in pursuit of. So we're all in a rush, too busy, or thinking ahead to the next work project or event. I'm as guilty as anybody else. But it wouldn't hurt to take an extra moment to slow down, set aside your cell phone, look around, and live in the moment like Chris does. Your actions, no matter how small, impact not only yourself, but also those around you. You won't regret it, I promise. While I've obviously had the privilege of getting to know Chris over these past 2 decades pretty well, probably too well, I haven't had the same opportunity with Kim. When Chris introduced me to Kim at brunch, my initial thought was, dang, this girl can out-talk Chris. When I found out she tore a leg muscle bumping chest with him, I knew she was a gem. Chris and Kim balance each other well, and there's no better recipe for a fruitful and enduring marriage. Like Chris, Kim is selfless, dedicated to helping others live life to the fullest. For those who don't know, she works with the elderly and disabled. I didn't know what that all entailed, but taking another tactic from my old friend Jagger Hoover, I did some investigative work. Actually, Deanna was kind enough to provide some intel from her black file on Kim. It turns out that Kim's files is twice as juicy as Chris's. Each client receives her undivided attention. In a society where the elderly and disabled are often overlooked, Kim offers the care and attention they deserve. Her clients feel as though they're chatting with an old friend, and her infectious spirit brightens their days. The positive impact she's made on countless lives is undeniable. So we have 2 individuals in our midst who prioritize others above themselves, a rarity in today's world, especially when it's a trait shared between a couple. We're truly blessed to have both of them in our lives. So this is the time to raise a toast. So let's raise a toast to that homeless Jamaican man, Tupac, who's definitely among the living, and Chris and Kim.
I thought I was going first. I mean, I am the matron of honor.
I am the maid of honor and officiant, so I just kind of thought I'm on a roll. I should probably go first.
Really, Kim? You had to make it confusing by having 2 maid of honors? Oh boy. All right, how do we do this?
I guess we're going at the same time?
Cheers. Cheers. All right. I think I should start first. You've talked enough today, right? And I have known Kim the longest, right? If those of you that not know me, my name is Dina, and I have had the privilege and pleasure of knowing Kim for almost 18 years now. I do know there are some people in the crowd, obviously, regardless of their parents, that have known her longer, so shout out to you guys. But I am so blessed for our friendship. I'm so thankful that it's remained over all these years. Since freshman year of high school, I've had my fair share of memories with her. Unfortunately, many of these are too inappropriate to discuss today, so I'm going to table a lot of those. However, I knew from the first day I met Kim that I wanted to be her friend. She just had a loving aura around her, always looking to enjoy life and have a good time. From shenanigans in the hallways of St. Peter Chanel to shared college visits, nights with Tim Funnel, and countless nipple twists, this girl has been by my side. A partner in crime, quite literally, if any of you know as well.
All right, yeah, that's fine. That was kind of a long time ago, though, so if we're bringing it to current time, we can talk about more relevant things, like her and I relationship. I've known Kim for the last 5 years. As I mentioned earlier, I was her boss. We work together. We're both rec therapists. We've gone on many adventures together. We've done actually a lot together. Some things we'll talk about. I slept on Kim's couch for like 3 weeks because I had a weird bat phobia. But I want to focus more on the first time that I met Kim, actually. So like I mentioned earlier, we were working at a psych hospital and we were hiring for a new rec therapist. At the time, I ran into her. She was interviewing, and I ran into her in the hall and briefly met her. And I went into my office where the rest of the rep therapists were. And they were all asking me like, oh, how's the new candidate? Like, what is she like? What is she like? What is she like? My exact words were, she seems nice. She seems like a wholesome, reserved, conservative, church-going girl. While my first impressions couldn't have been further from the truth, I am grateful for the facade that she put on for all of us enough to get hired for the job. I think there are many of us in this room can say that Kim brought a level of fun, lightheartedness to our very difficult jobs during that time. So as her boss, I think I kind of know her a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. You worked with her. But I mean, Kim was my maid of honor. And I mean, she's the godmother of my firstborn, right? Despite all these crazy times we've shared, the one thing I love most about my friendship with Kim is how it's been able to grow over the years. To big girl jobs, navigating relationships, ups and downs of lives, marriages, children. She's always been so supportive, caring, and understanding. To the point where usually we make plans and then break them, right? She is not only still the silliest, funniest person I met all those years ago, she is a kind, hardworking, passionate, intelligent person who isn't afraid to tell you how it is or share her beliefs and be true to herself. This has made her such an extraordinary friend over the years, and these qualities that I love so much about her, I just knew that she would be the best person for my son Mason. And I'm not the only one, because she is a godmother of 3. Marlena's here today, Dana is here, and she chose the same, person for Wes. And we knew what we were doing, right? She is still the goofy Kim I met day 1, but along with all the fun, she brings her love and care for all of them. I simply couldn't think of a better person to be a part of all the big milestones in my life, and I am so happy to be a part of hers today.
Thank you for recognizing that I'm single. I've never been married and I don't have children. So Kim cannot be a part of any of those special moments in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, maybe, yeah.
Single, everyone.
Stop. Anyways, she is a part of my family, though. As I mentioned earlier, she has literally lived with every member of my family, or talked about it. They live downstairs in the multifamily home. She's not lived with my dad, but they've joked about being roommates because they both have this weird love for potato chips, and they figured they would be the best kind of roommates should it happen, but it's not. It's not. Okay. There have been many. You'll finish the basement. Yeah. There have been many days and nights when I'm downstairs visiting whoever's living below them in my family at the time, and I can hear Kim upstairs chasing around her cats, listening to Nathaniel Rateliff, or stomping away on her stair stepper. She's practically a member of my family from the jump. In fact, the first holidays we spent together, she invited me over to her parents' house, and we learned a little small world story. Tammy worked with a woman named Beth, who my mom used to work with years ago. So it was like the universe knew we would eventually come together, knew that we were meant to be best friends long before we met.
Yeah, but you just don't get Kim the way I do. She has this sort of quality to her. I don't know how to quite...
Let me guess, the Kim factor?
The Kim factor. For those of you that don't know, I like how Frank explained it. He claims that Chris has this huge file, but I'm pretty sure Kim would put that to shame. The amount of shenanigans that this girl gets away with is mind-boggling to me. Like, how about that one time when we were at the 18-plus club downtown in Cleveland, and she actually made friends with people by literally salting them with the salt, pepper...
All right, that's not what we're talking about today. I don't think that's actually legal behavior. And we're moving on.
Yeah, you're right. None of these stories are probably good enough to tell, at least until we have a few more drinks in us. Do you have any Kim Factor stories that maybe aren't quite so bad?
This one time, we were downtown at the tattoo convention. We'd had a few drinks. Kim was getting some tattoos done, and we ran into a cop that she knew, and she was like trying to convince the cop to...
Yeah, okay, let's stop there. Anything else?
We can talk about her bachelorette weekend when we were all at the cat.
Yeah, you can. We all got to know Kat very well. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, so I don't see how any of these stories could be any more tame than the ones I was going to tell.
You're probably right. I guess there's a time and place for the Kim factor, and standing here in front of her parents probably isn't the right time.
Yeah, I'm thinking not. But with any luck and a lot of alcohol, maybe we will all get to see a glimpse of the notorious Kim tonight out on the dance floor. Alright, but really, does it matter who's known Kim the longest, or who's living with Kim, or who's had the maid of honor? Yeah, I think we're both just lucky enough that we've gotten to know her at all. We love how our friendships with her have grown and evolved. And as much as we joke about how wild and crazy Kim is, she's so many other things too.
She's fun, adventurous, and always down to try something new.
She's loyal, she's compassionate, and she's caring.
I guess, do you know what it sounds like we're saying is we agree on one thing. We love Kim. Whether it's the fun, tender side or the wild and crazy side that her mother would rather not know about, let's be real, it doesn't really matter who's known Kim the most, the best, the longest, because she's Chris's problem now.
All jokes aside, Chris, we love you, and we know that you love Kim just as much as we do. And so that means you are fully capable to handle all parts of her. And it's pretty clear why. To start, Chris is patient. As Frank mentioned, Chris is never one to rush things. He likes to slow down and enjoy life and all the people surrounding him. Never annoyed with minor changes to plans or inconveniences, but embracing them. We all know that Kim is always full of surprises. So what better person than Chris for this reason?
Chris is also very kind. He's probably the most caring and understanding person that we've ever met. Simply always thinking about others, as Frank said, stopping to talk to anyone and everyone, sometimes for long amounts of time, but we love him for it, to connect with people. But maybe this is where Kim is good for Chris too, because she's really good at keeping him moving when he starts talking about laser beams from Russia that are affecting the whale populations in Antarctica. It's true though. No.
Despite that last comment, Chris is level-headed. Chris is methodical in his thinking and likes to maybe even overthink sometimes. Did we count how many times he said sorry today for no reason?
Like 27.
Yeah. But he seems to be less impulsive than Kim. If it were up to Kim, they'd have 5 cats and 8 tortoises by now.
Most of all, Chris is supportive. I remember a time, I won't go into detail, but Kim was going through a thing. And she was coming to me, probably because I was her boss. And I encouraged her to go to Chris. And she did. And it worked out because she never came to me for anything again. But it was in that moment that I knew that Chris would fully support her, love her unconditionally, despite the challenges she was having, anything that she needed. What? Okay. And I knew that was it. That was the turning point, at least for me in their friendship, or their relationship, and our friendship, because I was on her.
And most importantly, yes, I promise we're wrapping this up. He loves her unconditionally. That feral part, we know. There really doesn't need to be much of an explanation here. It's almost too obvious. The way he looks at her, the way he helps her with projects, supports her dreams, encourages her to better herself, goes on adventures to places. He's the definition of a real partner. So let's all raise our glasses and cheers to Kim becoming Chris's problem. We love you all! Cheers to Team Louise, baby!
I don't know if I can beat all them ones. Them were some speeches, boy. I wrote down some notes and I just thought I'd say, first of all, I'd like to say how wonderful and nice everybody looked tonight. It's really cool to get out and see people all dressed up and people I haven't seen, family members, friends. This is a wonderful occasion and we're blessed by so many wonderful people. Thank you so much for coming tonight. That makes me feel so great. So I got friends of old, friends of new family members, it's their family, the Seaver family. I can't figure out, I went to school in second grade. I had a teacher, her name was Miss Sever, S-E-V-E-R, okay? My son went to school at the same school about 25 years, 30 years later, and her name was Miss Sever. We meet these people and they're the Seavers. How the hell does that happen? I'm just kidding. But then I'd like to thank their family and this family and everybody to get together because this has been an awesome weekend so far. The meal we had last night with the rehearsal dinner and everything, it was just really something. The shower that the people put together for the kids was really awesome, and all that stuff means so much when people work together. It's a blessing to have people you can work with and feel close to. Also, the wedding planner lady is one of the greatest of all time. I don't know how people, I watched it, this lady doing her thing and run, and I'm like, my Lord, this lady's important. Maybe you should put her on the ballot. Hell with the guys that are running the country. And another person that I would really love to give a big shout out to is my best person I know in my life, Tammy Fennell. She was the go-between on all the stuff about the wedding and with the stuff about this and that, and this is what we're going to do and that we're going to do, and Tammy just kept keeping me alive and keeping me going with all this stuff, and I tell you, she's probably the rock of the heart behind this one, and I'll tell you, I couldn't do without her. So Tammy, thank you so much. And she looks beautiful tonight. She really does. Then we gotta go over to my new buddy, Chris. I remember when Kim brought Chris over the first time, and we met him and everything, and we talked, and we both wrapped around, and we went to dinner with him. And I was like, this guy's really down to earth, man. He's really a calm, good dude. And several times we've had him, well, not several, maybe like 50 times, he had to come over and fix stuff for us, like broken typewriters and printers and computers and all this stuff. But he's always had a great whereabout with them. He's always really level-headed, and he helps us out, and we talk, and it's just never when he comes over to visit about what we're doing. It's always about everything, you know. I mean, there's been, I don't know how many times he stopped by to fix something on the way home from, he works in Seoul, and he comes by, and he'll say, come on, we'll have some supper with us. And next thing you know, he's sitting there watching TV with us, and Kim's got to text him to tell him to come home. You know what I mean? But he's a very good person. I don't think I could trust anybody more with my daughter. I worry about trusting her with him with her. But he's a wonderful guy. You are a good man. And then when several people came up to me, you know, one of my buddies would go, oh man, your daughter's getting married, man, whoa. I think the best part about it is she's getting married to a quality, good man. And that's the best part. He's a lot for him. You raise a young lady up, and you get her out there, and that's a crazy world, and you know what? I'm in good hands, and that's Kimberly. You're blessed to be with this young man. Here we go. Now we go to kimchi. Kim, you know, we had trouble getting our things together with the children, and Doug came around, and I'll never forget, like a couple months later, I said, we're never going to have another kid. And all of a sudden, Tammy texted me, she goes, we're pregnant again. I went, whoa, wait a second, I'm a baby making machine. But anyways, I was blessed. You know, it was great because I had a boy and a girl, and how many families, you know, I was just blessed to have. And Kimberly was such a rambunctious, good little kid. I mean, it was awesome. She was such a, and my dad just loved Kimberly to death. I mean, that was one of the greatest things is my father really loved Kimberly. He used to bounce Kimberly on his foot and bounce her and sing, hi diddly dee, Kimberly and me, and she would just be bouncing. And them memories, I'm telling you, as an old fart like me now, well now I'm an older guy, and it means so much. You know, you go back to the memories. I don't know where Jess Dalton is over here. Hey Jesse, but you could always remember going down to Squaw Rock and getting the frogs and the lizards and everything out of the creek them with the kids. I mean, it was them memories. And then, you know, what I really remember is Kim's senior year in high school, she played sports, and I had a knee injury, so I was off the whole year. And I went to watch some of her games, and she wasn't happy because I'd be yelling at the referees, and now I'm a referee, so it makes a lot of sense. But anyways, I traveled around with my dad to get to watch her do these games. And it was cool because like a year later, 2 years later, my dad passed away. And them memories of him getting to go to these games, and I don't want to go to that game, don't take me, my mom, you better go to that game. We'd go down there, my dad would be the happiest guy in the world watching them games and being out there. And that meant so much, them memories of all that stuff. And then one of the most important things I think I ever did in my life was when Kim told me she wanted to go up to Toledo to take a look at the school. And I made several trips with her up there to go to the college and visit and do all that stuff. And she met so many great people there and changed her life. And I just think stuff like that when you're raising your children, them memories mean so much to you. I mean, you know, kids go off, they wander out there, they become their own person, and you just hope that you help get them in line to be a great person. And I don't think I could ask for much more for Kim. When I heard these stories of these young ladies talking about her working with the elderly and the physically handicapped, I'll be honest with you, you don't teach that. That's something that somebody has in their heart. And I'm telling you, that is something that will never to go outspoken about, you know. So I will tell you this much, Kim. You and your husband, Chris, you guys have a wonderful life together. I never forget at our wedding, we asked one of my 8 great aunts, somebody said, hey, give these kids some words of advice. And I remember my great aunt looked over and she goes, patience, patience, and more patience. And that's what I say to you guys. God bless you. Let's raise up our toast. And here we go.